Hello everybody, I got a video today of, I guess I could title it Cedar Kayak on the Forgotten Coast of Florida. I videotape, or I put together a small video here. It's mainly photographs attached together with a short narration. I will start with building the kayak. Of course, there needs to be a lot more photos. This is just kind of to wet your whistle a little bit, but built the kayak, took it for an initial test on a local impoundment close to where I live, and that's where I did the training for the trip that we were planning, me and my cousin Steve, who lived in Florida. We were going to leave from Mexico Beach, which is near Apalachicola Bay, and paddle all the way down to the southern tip of Little St. George Island. I guess it's been labeled the Forgotten Coast because there's nobody ever there, but it's just absolutely gorgeous. And so we took this trip, and it's been some years ago, but we had some difficulties along the way, and there's not enough photos to show all that. But it stretched me about as far as I ever wanted to be stretched. We were caught in some, the tide was coming out of Apalachicola Bay, so the cuts that were put in there to relieve that, they were roaring like rivers out into the Gulf of Mexico as the wind was blowing into the current. So we had a washer machine effect. And the tide took us out to where we could barely see land, and that was extremely uncomfortable. The seas were no less than 8 to 10 feet high. At times they were 12 feet, and it was very, very difficult. I thought that might be the end. We did have an EPIRB with us, and my cousin he was in charge of that because he knew the area and had a little more experience than I did. So we, after a lot of training on local impoundment, I took off to Florida, and we took our trip, and came home safe. Yeah, a little shook up, but came home safe. So I got some videos to show you. They're coming up. I'll do a short, probably clumsy narration, but we'll get her done. So we'll see you soon. Well, this is a photograph of the stations where the forms to build a kayak, and they're placed on a buck, and gives you the shape to apply the cedar strips to. The cedar strips do not get glued to the forms. They get glued only on the edges, but that is an update. This begins to show how the hull is going to appear when it's all done. And this is the first coat of fiberglass and epoxy on the bottom hull of the kayak. And then it gets flipped over, and we make a top for the kayak. And that's where I'm starting. That's what I'm working on right there. Building the cedar strips for the top of the kayak, and continuing on with a little bit of artistic flair in there. And then from there, I hope to show a little bit of the workmanship. I was proud of it, and the artistic end of it started to take shape. And then we have this epoxy and fiberglass first coat on the top of the kayak. That's the cockpit made of carbon fiber and fiberglass, and up towards the front of that is the watertight hull, and there's one in the rear also. And there's the first float. Did a lot of training on a local impoundment. Try to keep my kayaks and boats as nice as I can. Okay, here we go, embarking on the Gulf of Mexico. Nice, calm, beautiful day. And there's there's our first stop for the night. We set up a tent, and surf started to pick up. The seas were getting higher, and we woke up to a beautiful day. And I was glad of that. There's a photo of me just being me. And there's my cousin being him, constantly eating. But we were taking off from here. We were headed up to the cut right there between Apalachicola Bay and Gulf of Mexico. And the water rages through there pretty good, and that's our sunset campsite. Not a single footprint that I could find on the island. That's the tent we slept in, and the sand was so fine it made it through the no-see-um net. This is a photograph of that same sand storm or windy day, and so we decided to walk across the island and to get to some lower seas, and had to clean out our tents. And yes, that is sand inside the tent, inside the sleeping bag. Ugh. And this is a photo after a grueling day on the Gulf of Mexico. Lost it, sea blown out by the tide and the wind, and we had nothing short of 8 to 10 foot seas for 3 hours, and so time to take a break. We set up camp and much needed rest, and decided tomorrow morning that we would portage across Little St. George Island and to get into Apalachicola Bay. We could not take another day like the one before, so we're packing up to portage. Took 4 trips through the scrub, about 1.25 mile walk, portage, and ended up in Apalachicola Bay. Right there is beautiful, just beautiful. A lot nicer to paddle. Was able to do a little fishing, and that was the last day. Yes, the last day. From here we paddled 3 miles and to our pull out, and there's the tip of the Little St. George Island. 54 or 58 miles on the water. Well, I just wanted to share a few words as to, why did I take this trip? I've always been the adventurous type. I always needed to see what was around the other corner, but this trip changed me. I mean, it changed me in a big way. And I didn't realize totally what I was getting into. I mean, it looks great on the photographs, and looks like something you'd put in a magazine, but it really tested me, and so it kind of knocked that fire out of me. So I changed over to little calmer things to do, and as did my cousin. I mean, we spent our childhoods together, and it's been incredibly cathartic to put this video together. I know it's only a few minutes, and I appreciate your time watching it, as it did a great deal for me. It's moving into the happy memory box. So I appreciate your time, and I hope everybody who watches this can find something in there that they can relate to. I'm glad you stayed this long. You are always welcome here, and God bless everybody. Thank you.